Hello, welcome to today's webinar. In this webinar, we're talking about visual user-generated content and how this is really applicable for Nosto customers from today. Hello, my name is Peter Cassidy. I'm one of the co-founders of Stackla. I've traditionally led product and strategy for Stackla, and now with our combination with Nosto, I'm leading some of the integration between the technologies, which is really exciting, and we thought we'd give you a preview into how that's tracking. Okay, so here's the agenda for today's webinar. We're going to have a really brief look at why user-generated content, how valuable this content is, and some of the problems that it can solve. We'll have a look at Stackla as well and our take on UGC and why we're a little unique in market. We'll look at a specific customer case study. The customer we'll showcase today is Lush Cosmetics. We'll look at Stackla and Nosto and why, when combined, the two platforms work so perfectly together and add so much value to each other. And then we'll have a look at the integrations that exist already between the tools and a little sneak peek into what's happening in the future. And then finally, we'll throw it open to some Q&A with the customer success representatives in your region. All right, so let's get going. Why user-generated content? So I guess to begin with, demand for visual content is greater than it ever has been. Marketers, I would suggest all marketers are using and heavily using visuals, images and videos across all of their marketing, across their e-com platforms, across really every channel. And that's created a really big challenge just simply to keep up with the demands of content that audiences and customers demand, and to keep their channels and their various web properties, etc., fresh and with high quality imagery. And many brands have then turned to traditional models to solve this problem. So they're either creating additional content in-house through photo shoots, etc. They're buying content perhaps through stock or through agencies or external sources. But regardless, even though brands are spending more and more and more on content, the return on investment is diminishing. And I guess this is where UGC comes in and starts to solve a really big problem. The first element to UGC that can never be understated is its abundance. There is so much being created. Customers are creating content each and every day about brands and their products, whether solicited or not. And the vast majority of this content now is image-based, short-form video-based, and really high quality. This content is also really trusted, and it's a great metric here. 92% of consumers say they trust earned media more than they trust owned media. In other words, they trust content that people create about your brand or product or services more than the content you create about your brand or product or services. Finally, thirdly, it's cost effective. This content is effectively free, and it can definitely reduce the overall content costs taken on by a brand to try to keep up with the demand we spoke about earlier. And finally, it's highly influential. People talk about UGC being one of the, if not the, greatest influencing factor to tip them into making a purchasing decision. So we know UGC works and it helps drive significant uplifts in conversions. So when you combine all that, that's a pretty good value proposition. So let's talk specifically about Stackla and how we approach the problem. So I guess our core mantra is curate, don't create. So we empower our customers to find the content that their customers are creating, their happy, loyal customers are creating, and we allow them to put the customer at the center of their marketing. We allow them to curate customer stories and make those stories really central to the whole content strategy of the brand. We really endeavor to shorten that path to purchase. We try to drive increased conversions while at the same time lowering those content creation costs by connecting shoppers with that real social proof that they need to go ahead and make a purchase. We help marketing teams utilize this great UGC at every touch point. So this is not just limited to a product page or a category page or a home page on a website. We're also talking about emails, social ads and organic social, in-store displays, really anywhere that you're utilizing content, UGC has a place. And finally, to increase engagement and loyalty, really strengthen that connection with customers and facilitate trust between your brand and your customers. So here's a higher level overview of the Stackla platform. We'll go into these in a little more detail. It really begins going from left to right with content discovery. So we'll source content from a host of different sources, social networks, direct uploads, our creator community portal. But once this content's in the tool, you have the ability to curate and organize that content. That also includes associating content with products that you stock. So you're making that mapping connection. The third piece is really around capturing the usage rights. So once you've got this high quality content, you might wish to use it across your website, but also maybe within a paid ad, a social post. We help facilitate the rights to use that content in those kind of environments. We then allow you to start organizing that content in your digital asset manager. So we have a fully fleshed out digital asset manager built specifically for user generated content. And we help you populate and organize that in an efficient way. Finally, we let you publish this content out across all those different touch points. Of course, across your e-com store, but then also more broadly across email campaigns, social, etc. And we're constantly trying to optimize that content performance. So we'll track how that content's performing for you and then reinforce and start recommending additional content that is likely to convert and likely to be highly performing. So digging in a little more detail in that discovery piece, we'll bring in content from a host of sources. So the first is really what we refer to as reactive UGC aggregation. So this is listening for content already being created about your brand or product. This would be across Instagram or YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, really any platform that your customers are creating content. We can let you create searches to find that content that's already out there. It may be from a hashtag, it may be from a mention, it may be from a photo tag, etc. Of course, we can also bring in your own brand's content. So if your social teams are creating great quality content as well, all that can be brought into the tool. And if you look underneath, you'll see proactive UGC creation. And this is starting to tip into our creator community products. So what you're able to do is not just kind of wait for this content to be created by your customers, but in fact, build a community of creators of your own customers, the loyal customers that are happy to create content on your behalf, and you can start to brief them with the content that you want them to create. So it may be around a specific campaign you're running, a specific product launch, but the idea here is you're proactively briefing them with the content requirements rather than just waiting for content to appear on a hashtag. And this is quite unique with our platform, and I think it's a great way to really tailor the content to match your exact brand requirements. The third you can see on the top right is what we call direct upload. So really simply, we allow you to embed a form or multiple forms all across your web properties where you can encourage your customers to upload their content. It does not have to be through social. It can be directly uploaded into the platform. And then finally, we also offer a Chrome extension or a browser extension where you can, as you're natively browsing social media on your computer, you can quickly hit a add to Stackla button and it'll add that post directly into your Stackla environment. So your social teams, for example, have a really easy way of pulling a YouTube video or an Instagram post directly into the tool. Okay, so once that content is in Stackla, this then moves us across to the curation component, which is where we start to determine which content we wish to use and which we don't, but also how that content is organized. So you'll see immediately we start applying a lot of automation and we start to detect things like visual recognition concepts. We detect if there's people in the photo or if there's different scenes and objects and emotions. We then also start to organize based on language or location. We do sentiment analysis. We do a whole host of analysis that automates a lot of the process of organization. But at this point also you're able to start assigning product information to content. So in this case, you can see here's a photo that someone has submitted for our customer Lush, and it's featuring a specific product, which is the mask of magnanimity. So that application of that product tag has happened here in the curation interface. As the curation then happens, of course, you build out this great library of content that is tagged and organized around products, published, and good to go. Now, as that organization happens, one step in that process you might wish to undertake is actually to request the rights before you physically publish any piece of content. Now, we offer two different methods to secure the rights. One, you may be familiar with, it's quite common, which is the rights via response, which is really what we call a hashtag method. So in this method, if the post had come, for example, from Twitter or Instagram, you would get the content within Stackla, you'd find that content. You would then, through the tool, reply to the content creator saying, look, we love this post. Are you okay with us using this? In this case, reply with hashtag YesLush, could be your own brand hashtag, to approve. Once that content creator replies with that hashtag, it's marked as approved within Stackla, and you now have the rights to use that content in your marketing. We do, however, offer a second option, which is really unique to us, and we're starting to see a lot of customers take up this more advanced version of rights management. And in this workflow, instead of just asking for a simple hashtag, we actually provide a custom URL that you will give to the content creator. And when they click on that URL, it allows them to fill out additional data about themselves, maybe an email address, etc. And it allows them to upload the original file. So you may get a high resolution image, or you may get the full length video, for example, that they've created. You can also get them to explicitly agree to the terms and conditions, which will link across to your own terms and conditions. So it often makes the legal teams much more comfortable that it's a much more thorough process. You get the data from the customer, which is hugely important. You get the original quality images and videos, which your design team will love you for, and you also keep the legal team happy with the approval of the terms and conditions. And then as this content's coming through and the rights are being granted by the creators, it then flows into our asset manager. And the asset manager really is your library of UGC. It can include content that's come from your own creators and influencers. It can include just broad reactive UGC that's appearing on the social web. You can even bring your own brand content in there, stock photography in there. You can really use it as an asset manager for all your assets if you wish. It includes things like in-browser editing, so you can quickly edit or crop an image, apply filters, etc. Before utilizing that content. And you can invite your wider team, so your social teams, your web team, your email team can all have access to this asset manager to find content whenever they wish to use it, knowing that even though it's UGC, the rights have all been approved and all that content is good to go. And then once that is all done, then the fun begins, I guess. You can start utilizing this content across all those different marketing touch points that we've spoken about here. You can see, and we'll talk about the case study of Lush shortly, but in fact, their first ever use case was actually across social. So finding UGC that was fantastic, high quality content about their brand and about their products. Their first step was actually repurposing back out on social. The second step for them was actually across their e-com environment, so incorporating into product pages, category pages, etc. And then it typically expands from there into things like email. And then, as we spoke about before, really the whole purpose of this is to drive improvements in performance. We want to reduce costs, provide access to more content, but ultimately it needs to result in increased performance. And this is really a subset or a combination of some of the data we see from our existing customers and the uplifts in conversions performance that they're finding utilizing UGC through Stackla. Now, when we get to this optimized component, I mentioned before that we can begin to help make recommendations to improve content performance. So this is a really unique part of our platform, and this is possibly the it's the one feature that excites us the most because it creates so much scale and reduces so much time and management overhead with organizing UGC. So as content comes into Stackla, we of course detect what's in that content through visual recognition. In this case, you can see it's been tagged with woman, fashion, mask, portrait, indoors, etc. So we really know what is in images and videos when they arrive into the tool. We then track how our customers, in this case you, choose to publish your own content. Do you like to publish photos that feature a certain product or a certain scene, perhaps a certain color palette, perhaps a certain style, for example, people or no people? We track all of that. And then, as you publish that content, we track how it performs. Perhaps a photo with people in it performed better than the photo you published that didn't have people in it. Perhaps the photo of the mountain performed better than the photo of the beach. So we'll track the performance as well. And then we wrap all that data together and we start to determine what good quality content looks like for your brand and for your products. And then when you log into the tool, instead of just seeing all the content that's available, you'll see Stackla will start to make recommendations on the content you should use, the content you should request the rights for, and also the content that you should tag with certain products. So we might say, look, this is a fantastic photo. Stackla thinks you should use it. And by the way, we think it's also featuring this product. And then you can apply those in a really simple way by approving those recommendations. And the advantage here is, of course, it reduces moderation time significantly. If you've ever used a UGC tool, you're probably familiar or logging in and seeing, wow, I've got 3,000 pieces of content. I don't want to have to look through those 3,000. This is a great way to really highlight the high quality content and save yourself a whole lot of time by relying on machine learning and the algorithms that we've built. And then again, some of the other differentiators that we have in market. The first is the asset manager. Now, you may have used UGC tools in the past where you can embed a widget on a web page, and that's fantastic. It's allowing you to use that content. But at that point, it's really just a window into what's happening on social. The way Stackla is designed is that as you capture the usage rights, we actually let you store these assets. And that means not only can you embed this content through a widget on a web page, but you can give these assets to your design team or your agency. You can download them and use them in any other marketing collateral. You can start to utilize them in store. You can really, you can repurpose them out across social, and it gives you the tools to be able to do that in a really simple way. In terms of the technology itself, we work with many of the world's largest brands, customers with global footprints and thousands of products. And so we have technology that can scale to that degree. I mentioned our Copilot algorithm, and so this is here talking about our AI-powered curation and recommendations. It's hugely unique in market, and it's why many of our largest customers rely on Stackla because of the smarts we've built around those recommendations. We are very much an API-first platform, and that means we can integrate really into any tool that you would want us to integrate into, whether that's bringing content in, whether that's pushing content out, whether that's tracking and reporting on performance. Everything you can do within Stackla is accessed via an API, and we have integrations into dozens and dozens and dozens of different technologies. And finally, we're a true omni-channel solution. Not only do we focus on web, but we'll get you up and running so you can use this content in your emails, your social channels, and anywhere else you wish to use it. And ultimately, this is again just a reminder of some of the value that our customers see using the tool. Quite astounding metrics, but on average across our customers, we saw that there was nearly 9,000 pieces of content sourced per customer using UGC, via UGC with their campaigns when utilizing Stackla. That content tended to perform about 28% better than the traditional content they'd used. On average, our customers believe it saved them about 33% of the time that it would spend to otherwise arrange for the creation of that content. And they also saw, on average, a 65% reduction in their content creation costs. So when you combine all that together, there's a pretty compelling proposition there for utilizing Stackla for UGC. So a little moment to talk about Lush. Lush has been a long-term customer of Stackla. And the challenge that they originally came to us with was, or the three challenges, I guess. The first was they wished to increase engagement and drive digital conversions, which kind of sounds like everyone. They wanted to find and deliver more high-performing content, and they had really limited budgets to work within, so they had to kind of get creative. So they came to Stackla and they started to use Stackla initially to secure the usage rights. So to find content, secure the usage rights, and then to start utilizing that content across their own social channels. That was their first step. So they went straight to social. And if you look at any of Lush's social channels, it is, I believe, 95% sourced from UGC, which they would have sourced from Stackla. So they're reposting their own customers' content back out on their own channels, and it outperforms content that they create every day of the week. The next step was they started incorporating galleries across their website to drive that sort of social proof across their website. And you can see an example here on the right. I'm on a product page. I've got the kind of more formal product imagery, and then directly underneath you can see real customers using that product and recommending that product. And that social proof really influences conversions in a positive way. And then they really made an effort to make that UGC shoppable. So across category pages, home pages, anywhere you click on any UGC, you can see the example on the far right. You can see the content, and then directly underneath there's a call to action to buy that exact product that is being featured in the UGC. And so the results they saw were pretty impressive. 95% of the content, of their social content that they publish, is sourced through Stackla. They had massive increase to their total social reach. Their click-through rate from social went through the roof, and then you can also see here the increase to traffic to the site from social. And this is all just incorporating Stackla across their social channels, that they were able to generate these performance metrics back into their click-throughs back into their website. And by the way, you can read more about that case study on the Stackla.com website. You'll be able to find a lot more information about what they're doing, and also some other fantastic case studies. So why Nosto and Stackla? And as the product guy at Stackla, this has been a front of mind for me for quite a while now. And really, it all comes down to creating relevant experiences. And this is where we got the most excited about the partnership. As you all would know, Nosto are leaders in personalization and merchandising. And I guess where Stackla comes in is we're leaders on the content side. We're leaders in able to source high volumes of high quality content. And the thinking here is that really, if we're delivering upon that vision of personalization and being able to display the right products and the right content to the right customer at the right time, to really fulfill that, you need a breadth of content to be able to take advantage of these tools. But B, you also need that content to be authentic and real, and you need it to resonate with your customers. So when you combine the power of UGC, authenticity, scale, and relevance with the power that Nosto brings around personalization and merchandising, you're really combining content with data in a really powerful way. And we believe that's going to create amazingly relevant experiences, which are entirely unique in market. And as the products get tighter and tighter together, we're going to see that really come into its own. And I think we'll see some powerful features spin off in the weeks and months to come. So that then leads us into today. What's available today? And we've already been working diligently in the past few weeks and months to make sure that the products are already integrated, and there's huge value in using the two tools together straight away. So by getting started with Visual UGC now through Stackla, you're able to, of course, aggregate UGC about your products and brands that your customers are creating. You're able to start featuring that UGC across all your customer touch points straight away. You're able to do that immediately. You're able to shorten that path to purchase, create that shoppable social proof by connecting products with content and letting people click through the content to make a purchase. And then you're able to start building your own communities of brand advocates, inviting people to join your community, creating content briefs, letting people respond, and generate some great quality content. You can do all that today. And then in terms of the integration with Nosto, already we've set it up so that you're able to sync your product catalog. So by connecting Stackla and Nosto, the Nosto product catalog will come straight across into Stackla, and you can start assigning products from that catalog directly to the UGC. You don't have to manage two different catalogs. You're also able to add UGC galleries to your website directly via Nosto placements. You don't have to touch any code. You're simply able to create a gallery within Stackla and then push that or inject that into your website using Nosto. But it gets better than that. You're able to then use segmentation within Nosto to make sure that you're surfacing the right content on the most relevant content for different audience segments. So we're already starting to layer in notions of personalization and segmentation into the UGC galleries. Better again, UGC can already be included in A/B testing, split test, multivariate tests. So you can start testing how powerful and important UGC is in your performance from day one. And then also UGC widget scheduling. So for time-based campaigns, Black Friday, etc., you can start to schedule when you wish to inject those UGC campaigns. And then, of course, beyond the obvious product advantages, our powers that be are offering a fantastic early bird discount for customers who want to jump on board before the end of the year. I think that is a complete no-brainer. That's a pretty heavy discount, and I'll be taking advantage of that. But I'm the product guy, so I'll jump straight to showing you more about the product. So what I wanted to do was to talk a little bit about the integrations that we have today. So if you jump into the product right now, you integrate Stackla and Nosto, what does that experience look like? And this is a little bit scrappy, but I wanted to just make sure everyone could see the integrations as they are, and understand really a little bit more about what that flow will feel like. So the key here is we are already integrated, and it's actually working pretty well. You can see here on the right-hand side an example of one of our content widgets injected into a site. But the key things to call out that will be included in your integration are that immediate product catalog sync. If you've ever managed another UGC tool, you'll understand how frustrating it can be to maintain your product catalog in that tool as well as in Nosto and other places. The ability to inject UGC galleries via Nosto placements rather than having to go and access your web dev team, your front end team to try to inject UGC widgets or galleries that way. The segmentation piece we spoke about, A/B testing, and of course, just to show you how this comes together, we've got a really quick mock-up here that we can present. So what you're looking at here is actually the Stackla curation interface. So this is what it looks like when you're curating content, organizing content. You can see those little blue dots on the content. That's where we've applied product links. So to do that, we've clicked on a piece of content. In this case, we're showcasing Juha, one of our Nosto founders. In this photo, he's wearing the Quandary convertible pants. I don't know what convertible pants are or what they convert into, but he's wearing them. We've applied that product association there, and you can see here it's brought in the product information that was in that product catalog. In this, once we've published some more content like that, we're able to take the embed code directly out of Stackla. We're able to create a new on-site content campaign. We're able to determine a segment, in this case Patagonia lovers. We're able to go to the editor, paste in that same code we just took out of Stackla, so it's literally a copy and paste, and we go through and hit save. And as you can see in the little carousel across the top, we now have a stories widget of Stackla embedded into your website. So it's really that simple. And then of course, as the customer's clicking through content, you'll see all the product information. As you can see here, we've got a piece of content with a jacket and a bike being featured. So customers can click through and start clicking through content and finding their way to purchase products. We can also start incorporating those carousel widgets on places like PDPs, product pages, so you can see content featuring that specific product right on your product pages. So all that is available right now today. It's all fully integrated, and your CSMs on the Nosto and Stackla side respectively will work with you to make sure that you are up and running as quickly and easily as possible. And of course, as mentioned earlier, there is that 50% early bird discount, which I highly recommend you take advantage of. And of course, this is all available to get up and running today. So with that, I will hand you over to your local customer success manager on the Stackla side to answer any questions you might have and to go into any detail about anything that I may have missed in this presentation. But other than that, it's been great chatting. Hopefully that was useful, and hopefully we get to see you up and running with Stackla as soon as possible. Thanks so much. Bye.
Great, Pete. Thanks so much. Fantastic walkthrough. So hi everyone, my name's Neil. I'm a Customer Success Director here at Stackla. As Pete said, we kept some time aside for Q&A at the end, so let us know if there are any burning questions. We have received a couple directly via the chat, so I'll go ahead and respond to those first, and obviously if there are any more that you'd like to add, then just feel free to fire them through. So the first question that we received was that, so Stackla sounds similar to other tools that we've used in the past, 460, Yotpo, and Curelay, but how does Stackla differ to some of the other UGC platforms? So the first thing I would say is that the foundational capabilities of Stackla are very similar, but there are some key differentiators that I think are worth highlighting there. So the first one is just the sheer number of social sources that Stackla is able to support, so we can aggregate content from more sources than any other platform that's out there at the moment. It offers a more robust rights management process, so the features and functionalities that are available there are kind of a step further than what you'll see elsewhere on the market. So and we can touch on that in more detail later on. And then also, if you are working with a brand that has really large content volumes, the AI and automation functionality, I think that's a really important step, because it allows us to kind of manage that content at scale, and start to put the content automatically into kind of specific category buckets or campaign streams, which can be a huge time saver. So rather than kind of making manual decisions as to how you're going to manage the content. And then as Pete touched on, the real long-term benefit is kind of our quickly expanding integrations with Nosto at the moment. So we're the only platform that can do customer-based segmentation of UGC. So we can deliver personalized UGC to online audiences seamlessly. And then there's also product catalog syncing as well, which offers huge time savings. So rather than kind of having to ingest a product catalog from scratch, Nosto has all of that information already at its disposal, so we can kind of quickly make UGCs shoppable across your site. So that's the first question. The second question that we had was, what makes your rights management features a bit better than the other vendors that are out there at the moment? So as you'll have seen, most of the UGC platforms, they offer hashtag response processes, which is pretty standard, and it's a kind of low barrier entry for kind of audiences, really. But as Pete alluded to, so the rights via registration process allows us to kind of produce an all-encompassing rights via registration process. So we can showcase the brand's T's and C's, data capture fields, all in one place. So rather than it just being a hashtag response, you've got a kind of more robust, trustworthy space to manage those content approvals. And then we've also got the facility to allow content creators to upload original high resolution files as well directly to the brand. So we're always getting the kind of best quality image that's available for kind of various use cases. On the back end as well, so we keep an audit trail of all of the rights approval processes as they run. So we've always got that kind of information at hand. So they were the two questions that we received through the chat. Please let us know if there are any others before we close the call. Doesn't sound as though there are. Thanks so much for taking the time today, guys. Of course, if there are any follow-up questions, then please channel them through your customer success manager. But in the meantime, have a great day, everyone. Thank you.